Captain Jake Morrison stared at the blue hologram floating above his desk. The alien face looking back at him had too many eyes and skin that looked like old leather. The creature's mouth moved in strange ways as it spoke, but the translation device made the words clear enough. "I am Ambassador Vextar of the Zinthari Empire speaking for the Galactic Council," the alien said. "Your species has been found guilty of illegal occupation of valuable space territory. You have 72 hours to surrender all mining rights to your asteroid belt and submit to our taxation system. If you refuse, we will take corrective military action." Jake felt his jaw tighten. He had been expecting this day for 3 years, ever since humanity made first contact with the aliens. The Galactic Council had seemed friendly at first, but their true nature became clear soon enough. They saw humans as nothing more than primitive animals who had accidentally stumbled into space. The hologram flickered and died. Jake immediately reached for his communication device and sent an encrypted message to Commander Lisa Brooks at Earth Defense Command. Within minutes, his screen showed Lisa's tired face. She had dark circles under her eyes from too many sleepless nights preparing for this moment. "They finally did it," Jake said. 72 hours to surrender or they attack." Lisa nodded grimly. "How many ships are they sending?" "Intelligence reports 12 warships in the advance fleet. They think that's more than enough to handle primitive Earth." 12 ships, Lisa repeated with a bitter smile. "They really don't understand us at all, do they?" Jake stood up and walked to his window, looking out at the busy spaceport below. Hundreds of people moved back and forth, loading supplies and equipment onto ships. None of them knew that in 3 days their world might be under attack by an alien fleet. "Set up the emergency meeting," Jake said. "We need to talk to the president and the general right away." 2 hours later, Jake sat in a secure conference room deep underground. President Marcus Johnson looked older than his 55 years, his gray hair showing the stress of leading humanity through its first contact with hostile aliens. General Paul Carter sat beside him, his military uniform pressed and perfect as always. "So they're really going to do it," President Johnson said after Jake finished his report. 3 years of threats, and now they're actually coming. 12 ships, General Carter said, tapping his fingers on the table. "Their intelligence is terrible. They think we're still using the same technology we had when they first found us." Commander Brooks activated a wall screen that showed a map of the solar system. Red dots marked the positions of alien observation posts, while green dots showed human defensive positions that the aliens knew about. But there were many more green dots that the aliens had never detected. "They've been watching us, but they only see what we want them to see," Lisa said. "Their spies report that Earth has maybe 20 ships and some basic missile platforms. They have no idea what we've really been building." Dr. Amy Walsh spoke up from her seat at the far end of the table. She was a small woman with sharp eyes, who had spent the last 3 years studying alien behavior and psychology. "I've been analyzing their communication patterns and military history. The Galactic Council has never fought a real war. For thousands of years, they've just shown up with a bigger fleet and the other species surrendered immediately." "What do you mean?" President Johnson asked. "They don't understand the concept of resistance," Amy explained. "Every species they've encountered has been peaceful and logical. When faced with superior numbers, those species simply gave up rather than fight a hopeless battle. The Council has never had to deal with a species that fights back when the odds are against them." "General," Carter leaned forward, "you're saying they don't know how to handle real combat?" "Exactly. Their ships are designed for intimidation, not battle. Their tactics are based on overwhelming force against opponents who don't fight back. They've never faced guerrilla warfare, stealth attacks, or any kind of creative military thinking." Jake felt a cold smile cross his face. "They think we're going to line up our ships and fight them in open space like some kind of gentleman's duel. The question is," President Johnson said, "do we really want to start a war? Once we fight back, there's no going back. The Council will keep sending bigger fleets until one of us is destroyed." The room fell silent. Everyone knew the president was right. Fighting back meant committing humanity to a war against an enemy with thousands of worlds and millions of ships. It seemed like suicide. But Lisa Brooks spoke up, her voice steady and determined. Mr. President, with respect, we're already in a war. The Council has made it clear that they see us as animals to be controlled. They want our resources, our territory, and our freedom. The only choice is whether we fight back or spend the rest of human history as their slaves. General Carter nodded in agreement. Our analysis shows that if we surrender now, it won't stop with mining rights and taxes. Within 10 years, they'll be relocating human populations to make room for their own colonists. Within 20 years, Earth will just be another council world with humans as a labor force. President Johnson closed his eyes and rubbed his forehead. The weight of the decision was enormous. Start a war that humanity might lose, or surrender, and watch human civilization slowly disappear. Dr. Walsh, he said finally, in your professional opinion, do we have any chance of winning? Amy Walsh smiled for the first time in the meeting. Mr. President, the Council's biggest advantage is also their biggest weakness. They've never fought anyone who thinks like us. They expect us to be logical and predictable. But humans are neither logical nor predictable when we're angry. And right now, Jake added, we're very angry. President Johnson looked around the table at the faces of his advisors. These people had spent 3 years preparing for this moment, building weapons and strategies that the aliens couldn't imagine. Maybe it was crazy to fight an interstellar empire with 12 ships, but maybe crazy was exactly what the situation needed. All right, he said quietly. Send our response to Ambassador Vextar. Tell him we decline their generous offer. General Carter raised an eyebrow. Just, we decline? Just that. Let them wonder what it means. In 72 hours, they'll find out. As the meeting ended and people filed out of the room, Jake felt a mixture of fear and excitement. Humanity was about to face its greatest challenge, but for the first time in 3 years, they were going to fight back. The aliens thought they were dealing with a primitive species that would roll over and submit. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Admiral Kyle Stevens looked at his tactical display with satisfaction. His 12 ships hung in space like predators surrounding their prey. Earth floated below them, blue and green and completely defenseless. The humans had ignored their ultimatum for 72 hours. But now they would learn the price of defying the Galactic Council. Admiral, his communications officer reported, our sensors detect no defensive satellites, no weapon platforms, and only a few small civilian ships near the planet. The humans appear to have no military presence in orbit whatsoever. Kyle nodded. This was exactly what he had expected. The Council's intelligence reports had warned that humans were primitive and disorganized. They had probably spent the last 3 days arguing among themselves instead of preparing any kind of defense. Scan for their military installations on the surface, Kyle ordered. We'll destroy a few important targets to show them we mean business. Once they see what our weapons can do, they'll surrender quickly enough. Far below on the moon's hidden surface, Colonel Danny Martinez watched the alien fleet through his monitoring equipment. The Luna Base command center was buried deep underground, invisible to the alien scanners. Around him, dozens of technicians tracked every movement of the enemy ships. They're taking the bait perfectly, Danny said to his second-in-command, Major Rick Johnson. Look at their formation. They're spread out like they're expecting no resistance at all. Arrogant bastards, Rick muttered. They really think we're helpless. Danny activated his secure communication link to Earth. Control, this is Luna Base. Enemy fleet is in position. They're running full sensor sweeps, but detecting exactly what we want them to detect. The voice of Commander Lisa Brooks came through clearly. Confirmed, Luna Base, all units are standing by. Remember, nobody moves until they fire first. We need them to commit fully to their attack. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Commander Kate Sullivan drifted silently through space in her stealth ship Aurora. The small reconnaissance vessel was practically invisible, using technology that the aliens had never encountered. Kate watched the alien flagship through her view screen, studying their weapon systems and shield patterns. This is Aurora to all units, she whispered into her radio. Target analysis complete. Their shields are strong, but they're only projecting them forward and to the sides. The aliens expect attacks to come from predictable directions. Their rear and lower sections are completely exposed. Hidden in what looked like a broken piece of space junk, Captain Nicole Adams sat in her fighter cockpit with the rest of Raptor Squadron. Her ships were disguised as debris, floating motionless among the wreckage of an old mining station. The aliens had scanned the area twice but seen nothing interesting. Raptor leader to all Raptors, Nicole said quietly. Remember the plan. We hit fast, we hit hard, and we disappear before they can react. These aliens have never seen real fighter tactics. Back on Earth, Dr. Ryan Clark sat in his laboratory, listening to alien communications through equipment that could intercept and translate their signals in real time. What he heard made him smile grimly. "Command, this is Dr. Clark," he reported. "The aliens are already discussing how to divide up Earth's resources. They're treating this like it's already over. One of them just said, and I quote, 'The humans will probably thank us for bringing civilization to their backward world.'" Admiral Kyle Stevens studied the surface of Earth through his ship's scanners. His weapons officer had identified several large military installations that would make perfect targets for their demonstration attack. The humans needed to see what happened to species who defied the Council. "Target the installations marked Alpha through Delta," Kyle ordered. "Full bombardment. I want the humans to see exactly what our weapons can do to their cities." The alien ships opened fire, sending streams of energy down toward Earth's surface. The targets exploded in massive fireballs that could be seen from space. Kyle watched, with satisfaction, as what appeared to be major military bases were reduced to smoking craters. But something was wrong. The explosions were too big, too bright. Kyle frowned as his sensors analyzed the destruction. "Weapons officer, what were those installations made of? The energy readings don't match standard military construction." "Unknown, Admiral. The explosions appear to have been enhanced by some kind of explosive material already present at the targets." Dr. Helen Price watched the alien bombardment from her hidden laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains. The aliens had just destroyed 4 carefully prepared decoy bases, filled with old equipment, holographic projectors, and enough explosives to create a spectacular show. The real military installations were hidden miles away, completely untouched. Phase 1 complete, Helen reported to command. "The aliens have wasted their first strike on fake targets. They have no idea what they actually hit." Kyle Stevens felt the first stirring of unease. Something about this attack felt wrong. The humans should have been broadcasting surrender messages by now, begging for mercy. Instead, there was only silence from the planet below. "Communications. Are you receiving any signals from Earth?" Kyle asked. "Nothing on any frequency, Admiral. Complete radio silence." Kyle's tactical officer suddenly looked up from his station with alarm. "Admiral, I'm detecting strange energy readings from the asteroid field. Multiple sources, growing stronger." "What kind of energy readings?" "Unknown, sir. The patterns don't match anything in our databases." Captain Tony Fletcher smiled as he watched the alien fleet from his hidden monitoring station, Watchdog 7. The station was built inside what looked like a dead asteroid, invisible to the alien's sensors. He had been waiting for this moment for 3 years. "Control, this is Watchdog 7, Tony reported. "Enemy fleet has fired on our decoy targets and is holding position as expected. They're showing no awareness of our real defensive positions. Recommend we proceed to Phase 2. "Confirmed, Watchdog 7. All units, prepare for Phase 2 activation." Throughout the asteroid field surrounding Earth, dozens of hidden weapon platforms began powering up their systems. What the aliens had dismissed as space debris and floating rocks were actually carefully disguised military installations. Massive railguns emerged from fake asteroid shells. Missile launchers unfolded from derelict satellite hulks. Fighter bays opened in the sides of what had appeared to be mining equipment. Admiral Kyle Stevens stared at his tactical display in growing horror as dozens of new contacts appeared on his screens. Where there had been empty space moments before, there were now weapon platforms, fighter squadrons, and ships that his sensors couldn't even identify properly. "How is this possible?" Kyle whispered. "Our intelligence reported no significant military presence. How did they hide all of this?" His weapons officer's voice was shaking. "Admiral, we are detecting over 200 individual weapons platforms. Multiple fighter squadrons are launching from concealed positions. We're completely surrounded. Kyle felt cold fear creeping up his spine. In 300 years of service to the Galactic Council, he had never encountered anything like this. Species either surrendered immediately or lined up their ships for formal battle. They didn't set elaborate traps or use deception on this scale. All ships defensive formation, Kyle ordered. Prepare for battle. But even as he gave the command, Kyle knew that something had gone terribly wrong. The Council had sent him to intimidate a primitive species into submission. Instead, he found himself commanding a small fleet that had walked straight into the most sophisticated military ambush he had ever seen. The humans had been planning this for years. Every move the aliens made had been anticipated and countered. Kyle's ships were designed to fight other Council species, who followed predictable patterns and honorable tactics. These humans seemed to follow no rules at all. Lieutenant Commander Kate Sullivan's voice came through the comm system, broadcasting on all frequencies so the aliens could hear her clearly. Attention Galactic Council Fleet. You came here expecting to find helpless primitives. Instead, you found warriors. Welcome to Earth. We hope you enjoy your stay. Admiral Kyle Stevens realized that his species had made a terrible mistake. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were about to pay the price for that error. Commander Tony Fletcher pressed the activation button on his control panel. Across the asteroid field, hundreds of hidden weapons came to life. What had looked like empty space moments before now bristled with railguns, missile launchers, and energy weapons. All units, this is Control, came Lisa Brooks' voice over the comm system. Execute Operation Mousetrap, weapons free. The space around Earth exploded into action. Captain Nicole Adams led Raptor Squadron out of their hiding places among the debris. Her fighters moved like angry wasps, darting between the larger alien ships and firing concentrated bursts at their engine sections. Raptor 2, stay on my wing, Nicole called out as she dove under the belly of an alien cruiser. Hit their power coupling there, just like we practiced. The alien ship shuddered as her weapons found their target. Lights flickered along its hull as power systems failed. The aliens had built their ships to fight other aliens who attacked from predictable angles. They had never designed them to handle attacks from below and behind. Admiral Kyle Stevens watched his tactical display with growing panic. His ships were taking damage from directions that should have been impossible. The human fighters moved in ways that made no sense, attacking and then disappearing before his gunners could respond. Return fire, Kyle shouted. All weapons target those fighters. But the human pilot seemed to know exactly where his weapons would fire before he gave the orders. They slipped away from his targeting systems like shadows, always staying one step ahead of his gunners. Major Chris Bennett sat in his control center deep inside Cheyenne Mountain. In front of him, a massive railgun system pointed up through a hidden shaft that emerged on the surface. The weapon had been disguised as a radio telescope for 3 years. Target locked on alien flagship, Chris reported. Firing in 3, 2, 1. The railgun fired, sending a tungsten projectile through space at incredible speed. The aliens never saw it coming. The projectile punched through the flagship's shields like they weren't even there, tearing a hole in the ship's side and causing massive internal explosions. Dr. Helen Price activated her electromagnetic pulse weapons from stations hidden throughout the solar system. The invisible energy waves washed over the alien fleet, scrambling their communications and jamming their sensors. Suddenly, the alien ships couldn't talk to each other or coordinate their defense. EMP successful, Helen reported. Enemy communications are down, they're flying blind. Lieutenant Commander Kate Sullivan watched from her stealth ship as the alien formation began to fall apart. Without communications, each ship was fighting alone, trying to deal with attacks coming from every direction. This is Aurora, Kate broadcast. Enemy flagship is damaged and drifting. 2 cruisers have lost main power. They're in complete chaos. Captain Joey Clark had been waiting for this moment. His ship, the Dreadnought Washington, had been hiding behind a large asteroid for hours. The massive vessel was humanity's most powerful warship, armed with weapons that the aliens had never seen before. This is Washington, Joey announced, decloaking and engaging. The Washington appeared directly behind the alien fleet like a ghost, materializing from thin air. Its weapons opened fire immediately, sending streams of plasma and kinetic projectiles into the rear of the alien formation. 3 alien ships exploded before they even knew they were under attack. Admiral Kyle Stevens felt his command ship shake as another human weapon found its target. His shields were failing, his communications were jammed, and his ships were being destroyed one by one. This was nothing like the easy victory the Council had promised him. "All ships, retreat to jump distance," Kyle ordered desperately. "We need to get out of here and call for reinforcements." But the humans had planned for that too. As the alien ships tried to pull back, they found their escape routes blocked by more hidden weapons platforms. Mines that had been disguised as space debris exploded around them, and missile batteries opened fire from positions the aliens had never detected. Colonel Danny Martinez coordinated the battle from Luna Base, watching as his carefully planned trap closed around the enemy fleet. Every move the aliens made had been predicted and countered. They were fighting a battle that humanity had been preparing for since the day they met the Galactic Council. "All stations, maintain fire discipline," Danny ordered. "Don't let any of them escape. We need to send a clear message." Captain Nicole Adams rolled her fighter through a complex maneuver that would have been impossible for an alien pilot. The Council species were logical and predictable in their flying patterns. Humans were creative and chaotic, doing things that made no tactical sense but somehow worked perfectly. "Raptor leader to all fighters," Nicole called out. "Form up for attack pattern Delta. Let's show these aliens what real pilots can do." The human fighters moved in perfect coordination, despite the chaos around them. They had trained for this, battle in simulators that recreated every possible scenario. The aliens, meanwhile, had never faced an enemy that fought like this. Dr. Ryan Clark continued monitoring alien communications from his laboratory. What he heard made him smile grimly. The aliens were panicking, unable to understand how their superior technology was being defeated by primitive humans. "They're calling us insane," Ryan reported to command. One of their captains just said, "These humans fight like they have no fear of death. They can't comprehend our tactics." Admiral Kyle Stevens realized that his fleet was doomed. Half his ships were already destroyed or disabled, and the rest were taking heavy damage. The humans had turned space around Earth into a death trap, and his ships were caught in the middle of it. "Send a distress signal to the Council," Kyle ordered his communications officer. "Tell them the humans are more dangerous than we thought. Tell them we need a much larger fleet." But even as he gave the order, Kyle knew it might be too late. His ship shuddered again as human weapons tore through its hull. Emergency alarms blared throughout the bridge as systems failed one by one. Captain Joey Clark's dreadnought Washington closed in for the final attack. The massive human ship bristled with weapons that had been designed specifically to fight aliens. Every system had been tested and retested until it was perfect. "This is Washington to alien flagship," Joey broadcast. "You came here to conquer us. Instead, you're about to become the first Galactic Council fleet ever defeated by humans. I hope the lesson was worth the price." The Washington's main guns fired, sending a concentrated barrage of energy directly into the alien flagship's bridge. The explosion lit up space like a small star, and when the light faded, the alien command ship was nothing but floating debris. Admiral Kyle Stevens died, never understanding how his technologically superior fleet had been defeated by a species the Council considered primitive. His last thought was confusion at how wrong their intelligence had been about humanity's capabilities. The battle lasted only 20 minutes from start to finish. When it was over, the Galactic Council's expeditionary fleet was completely destroyed. Not a single alien ship escaped to carry word back to their masters. Commander Lisa Brooks surveyed the wreckage floating in space around Earth. 12 alien warships had been reduced to scrap metal and debris. Humanity's first real battle against the Galactic Council was a complete victory. "All stations, this is command," Lisa announced. "Battle is concluded. Begin search and rescue operations for any alien survivors. We'll treat them according to the rules of war, even if their people wouldn't do the same for us." But as the human ships moved through the debris field, they found no survivors. The aliens had fought to the death rather than surrender, unable to accept defeat at the hands of a species they considered inferior. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. High Counselor Thekmore stared at the empty space where Admiral Kyle Stevens's fleet should have been reporting from. 3 days had passed since the expected victory over Earth, but there had been no word from any of the 12 ships sent to discipline the humans. Send another probe to the human system, Thekmore ordered his aide. Find out what happened to our fleet. The probe's report arrived 6 hours later, and the news sent shockwaves through the council chambers. Where there should have been 12 victorious warships and a surrendering human planet, the probe found only debris floating in space around Earth. The entire expeditionary fleet had been destroyed. This is impossible, Counselor Drekhan said, his 4 eyes wide with disbelief. Humans are primitives. They have maybe 20 ships and basic weapons. How could they destroy an entire council fleet? Thekmore studied the probe's recordings with growing alarm. The debris patterns showed that the human attack had come from multiple directions simultaneously. The aliens had been caught in some kind of elaborate trap, surrounded and destroyed before they could even call for help. The humans are more dangerous than we thought, Thekmore admitted reluctantly. But this cannot go unpunished. If word spreads that a primitive species defeated a council fleet, every subject world will think they can rebel against us. The council voted unanimously to send a massive armada to Earth. 300 warships would travel to the human system and glass every planet they found. This time, there would be no negotiations and no mercy. But while the council prepared their revenge, humanity was preparing its own surprise. President Marcus Johnson stood in the Pentagon's deepest bunker, looking at a holographic map of the galaxy. Red dots marked the locations of major council worlds, each one now a potential target. Are you sure about this plan? President Johnson asked Dr. Amanda Gray, the physicist who had made it possible. If we do this, there's no going back. We'll be at war with the entire Galactic Council. Amanda nodded grimly. Mr. President, they're already planning to send 300 ships to destroy Earth. We can either wait here for them to arrive, or we can show them that attacking us has consequences they never imagined. General Paul Carter studied the tactical data on his tablet. Our deep space reconnaissance has mapped 12 major council worlds, military academies, shipyards, government centers. If we hit them all simultaneously, it will send a message that no species in the galaxy can ignore. Captain Tim Rodriguez had spent the last year mapping council territory with his stealth reconnaissance ships. His reports showed that the alien civilizations were old, comfortable, and completely unprepared for the kind of war humanity was about to bring to their doorstep. The council species have been at peace for thousands of years, Tim explained to the assembled military leaders. Their homeworlds have minimal defenses because they've never been attacked. They think their military might protect them, but they're about to learn that having a big military doesn't help if your enemy strikes where you don't expect it. Colonel Betty Martinez reviewed the intelligence reports with amazement. Sir, these council worlds don't even have planetary shields. Their governments meet in buildings that could be destroyed by a single missile. They've never considered that someone might attack their homeworlds directly. Defense Secretary Patricia Young raised the obvious concern. If we attack their homeworlds, won't they do the same to Earth? They're already planning to destroy Earth, General Carter replied. The difference is that we're going to hit them first, and we're going to hit them in ways they never expected. While their big fleet is traveling to our system, we'll be dismantling their civilization piece by piece. Lieutenant Commander Steve Parker had been working with Agent Laura Scott from Earth's intelligence services to plan the most audacious military operation in human history. Instead of waiting for the aliens to come to them, humanity would take the fight directly to the Council's doorstep. We've identified strike teams for each target, Steve reported. Small, fast ships using our latest stealth technology. Each team has a specific objective: destroy military infrastructure, disable government facilities, and then disappear before local forces can respond. Agent Laura Scott had studied the psychology of the Council species for months. Her conclusion was that they were completely unprepared for the kind of warfare humanity specialized in. The Council species fight formal wars, Laura explained. They line up their fleets, they declare their intentions, and they fight according to established rules. The concept of striking at civilian infrastructure while avoiding civilian casualties is completely foreign to them. They won't know how to respond. The strike teams launched from hidden bases throughout the solar system. Captain Alex Turner led the team assigned to the Council's primary military academy on Zenther Prime. Major Samantha White commanded the unit targeting the main shipyard at Krell Station. Each team had trained for months to hit their specific target with surgical precision. The attacks began simultaneously across 12 different star systems. The Council species woke up to find their most important military installations under assault by enemies they couldn't see or track. The human ships appeared from hyperspace, struck their targets with devastating accuracy, and vanished before defensive forces could respond. Captain Alex Turner watched through his ship's view screen as the Galactic Military Academy exploded in a series of precisely placed charges. The facility had trained council officers for over 1,000 years, but it would never train another one. The attack had been planned to destroy the buildings while avoiding the dormitories where young cadets slept. Target destroyed, Alex reported. No civilian casualties detected. Withdrawing to hyperspace. Major Samantha White's team hit the main council shipyard with equal precision. The massive facility that built the most advanced warships in the galaxy was reduced to twisted metal and floating debris in less than 10 minutes. The attack destroyed the shipyard but left the nearby civilian station completely untouched. Shipyard eliminated, Samantha reported. Local defense forces are scrambling fighters, but we're already gone. Similar reports came in from strike teams across council space. Government buildings were destroyed while hospitals and schools remained untouched. Military bases were eliminated while nearby cities suffered no damage at all. The humans were making a very specific point. They could reach any council world and destroy any target they chose. High Counselor Thekmore received the reports in his emergency bunker beneath the council homeworld. In a single day, humanity had struck 12 different worlds and destroyed some of the most important installations in council space. The attacks had been so precise and so coordinated that they could only have been planned for months or even years. How is this possible? Thekmore demanded. How did primitive humans develop this kind of military capability? How did they map our territory so precisely? Counselor Drekhan was studying damage reports with growing fear. They've destroyed our primary military academy, our main shipyard, 3 major research facilities, and 8 government installations. The precision of these attacks suggests intelligence gathering on a scale we never imagined possible. And they did it all while our main fleet was traveling to attack their homeworld. Another counselor added. While we were sending 300 ships to destroy them, they were already inside our territory destroying our most valuable assets. The worst part was the message the humans had transmitted to every council world after the attacks. The broadcast was simple and terrifying in its implications. People of the Galactic Council, the human voice said calmly. You sent 12 ships to conquer Earth. We destroyed them all. You are now sending 300 ships to destroy our world. In response, we have demonstrated that we can reach any world in council space and destroy any target we choose. We do not wish to harm civilians, but we will not allow our people to be enslaved or destroyed. The choice of what happens next is yours. High Counselor Thekmore realized that the council faced a decision unlike any in their long history. They could continue their attack on Earth and risk having their civilization systematically dismantled by an enemy who fought without rules or mercy. Or they could do something no council species had ever done before, negotiate with equals. For the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Council was truly afraid. The council chamber had never been so quiet. High Counselor Thekmore looked around the vast room at representatives from hundreds of worlds, and for the first time in his long life, he saw fear in their eyes. The reports from the human attacks were still coming in, each one more shocking than the last. The humans have done the impossible, Counselor Drekhan said, his voice shaking. They attacked 12 worlds simultaneously and destroyed our most important military installations. Our shipyards are gone. Our military academy is rubble. They did all of this while we were sending a fleet to destroy their world. How many casualties? Another counselor asked. That's the strangest part, Drekhan replied. 0 civilian deaths. The humans attacked only military and government targets. They could have killed millions, but they chose not to. What kind of species shows such restraint while fighting for their survival? Thekmor had been asking himself the same question. Every species the Council had encountered either surrendered immediately or fought with desperate fury, causing as much damage as possible before being destroyed. The humans were different. They fought with precision and purpose, showing mercy even to their enemies. Our 300-ship fleet will reach Earth in 6 days, reported Admiral Voktesh over the communication system. Do we proceed with the attack? The question hung in the air like a poison cloud. If they attacked Earth and failed, the humans might respond by destroying every major Council world. If they didn't attack, word would spread that the mighty Galactic Council had been intimidated by a primitive species. Sir, came another report from the communications center. We're receiving a transmission from Earth. They're requesting to speak with the Council leadership. Thekmor felt his stomach tighten. Put them through. The holographic display activated, showing a middle-aged human woman in a simple blue uniform. She had calm eyes and spoke with quiet confidence that somehow made her more intimidating than if she had been shouting threats. I am Ambassador Jennifer Mason, representing the United Earth government, the woman said. I believe we need to talk. You are in no position to make demands, Thekmor replied, trying to sound more confident than he felt. You have attacked Sovereign Council worlds. This is an act of war. Jennifer Mason smiled slightly. Councillor Thekmor, with respect, you declared war on us when you sent 12 ships to force our surrender. We simply responded in kind. The difference is that we won. Our fleet will reach your world in 6 days, Thekmor warned. 300 ships carrying enough firepower to turn your planet into dust. Yes, we know, Jennifer replied calmly. We've been tracking your fleet since it left Council space. But while your ships travel toward Earth, my people continue to operate throughout your territory. Would you like to see what they're doing right now? The display changed to show video feeds from across Council space. Human strike teams were systematically destroying every major military installation they could find. Weapons factories exploded in carefully controlled demolitions. Communication arrays were reduced to twisted metal. Supply depots vanished in precisely timed attacks. As we speak, General Kevin Brown is coordinating strikes on over 50 Council military targets, Jennifer explained. By the time your fleet reaches Earth, you will have no infrastructure left to support it. No repair facilities, no supply, bases, no communication networks. Your 300 ships will be alone in space with nowhere to go for help. Councillor Drekhan leaned forward desperately. What do you want? What will it take for you to stop these attacks? We want what every species should have, Jennifer replied. The right to exist as equals, not as subjects. We want fair trade agreements, mutual respect, and recognition of our sovereignty over our own territory. Impossible, Thekmor said automatically. The Council has never recognized a primitive species as equals. It would set a dangerous precedent. Primitive? Jennifer's voice remained calm, but there was steel underneath. Councillor, in the past week we have destroyed an entire Council fleet, penetrated the defenses of 12 major worlds, and systematically dismantled your military infrastructure. Does this seem primitive to you? Dr. William Hayes stepped into view beside Ambassador Mason. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes, but when he spoke, his words carried the weight of absolute certainty. Councillors, I am Dr. William Hayes, Earth's Director of Xenodiplomacy. I have studied your species and your history for 3 years. You have ruled this galaxy for thousands of years because you were stronger than everyone else. But strength alone is not enough anymore. We have shown you something new: intelligence, creativity, and the willingness to fight for our freedom. Your people are old and comfortable, Dr. Hayes continued. You have forgotten what it means to struggle, to adapt, to overcome impossible odds. We humans have never forgotten these things because we have never had the luxury of safety. We earned our place in this galaxy through blood and fire, and we will not give it up. Captain Susan Campbell appeared on the display, standing on the bridge of Earth's newest diplomatic vessel. Behind her, the view screen showed the vast emptiness of space, but her presence somehow made the ship seem powerful and important. I am Captain Campbell of the diplomatic ship Horizon, she announced. I am currently in neutral space, prepared to escort a council delegation to Earth for peace negotiations. The choice is yours. Send your representatives to discuss terms, or continue a war that will destroy both our civilizations. Thekmor felt the weight of history pressing down on him. For the first time in council memory, they faced an enemy they could not simply overwhelm with superior numbers. The humans had proven they could fight, win, and show mercy all at the same time. If we agree to negotiations, Thekmor said slowly, what guarantee do we have that you will stop your attacks? The same guarantee you gave us, Jennifer replied. None. The difference is that we keep our word. When we sign an agreement, we honor it. When we make a promise, we keep it. This is something your people seem to have forgotten how to do. Counselor, Drekhan spoke up urgently. Sir, we're receiving reports that 3 more supply depots have been destroyed. The humans are systematically eliminating our ability to wage war. Thekmor closed his eyes and made the hardest decision of his life. Ambassador Mason, the Council agrees to send a delegation to Earth for negotiations, but we want guarantees that our representatives will be safe. They will be treated with the same respect and dignity that we expect for our own people, Jennifer assured him. Unlike some species, we do not harm diplomats or prisoners. The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. For the first time in their long history, the Galactic Council would negotiate with a species as equals, rather than dictating terms to conquered subjects. 3 days later, Ambassador Jennifer Mason stood in the UN Assembly Hall in New York, facing a delegation of council representatives. The aliens looked nervous and uncomfortable, unused to being anything other than the dominant power in any room. Welcome to Earth, Jennifer said simply. Shall we begin? The negotiations lasted for 2 weeks. When they were finished, the Terra Accords established humanity as the first species to join the Galactic Council as full equals. Earth retained sovereignty over its local star systems, human ships gained the right to travel freely through council space, and trade agreements were established that benefited both sides. Captain Susan Campbell stood on the observation deck of the horizon, watching as the council delegation prepared to return to their homeworlds. The galaxy had changed forever, and everyone knew it. Control, this is Captain Campbell, she reported. The Terra Accords have been signed. Humanity is officially recognized as a sovereign equal member of the Galactic Council. Confirmed, Captain, came the reply from Earth. Welcome to the new galaxy. Throughout council space, species that had been subjects for thousands of years looked up at the stars with new hope. If humans could force the council to treat them as equals, perhaps others could do the same. The galaxy was entering a new age, and humanity had lit the spark that would change everything. The council had learned a hard lesson. Technological superiority meant nothing without the will to use it, and sometimes the student really could teach the teacher. Earth's fierce retaliation had not only saved humanity from conquest, but had transformed the entire galactic order. The age of unquestioned council dominance was over. The age of equals had begun.